In order to stack up that down payment of $12,450, you're going to have to consider drastic things such as moving back home with mommy and daddy. But there are always other options like moving here to the city of Detroit, where you can purchase you a brick home, 3-bed, 1-2-bath house with a basement, with a driveway for less than $200,000. You don't believe me? Here's a home in Detroit's East English Village, $150,000. The median age of first-time home buyers has reached 40 years. 40 years old. I think I was 26 when I bought my first home. 40 years of age.
This month, the National Association of Realtors announced the median age of a first-time American homebuyer has reached 40 for the first time ever. The new data also showing those first-time buyers represent a dramatically shrinking share of a housing market that largely has locked them out. So what's changed in recent years, and what are the implications for a generation of young Americans?
It's the American dream, buying your first home. But today, it's an opportunity that for many feels out of reach.
It is literally impossible to buy a house right now.
This housing market just keeps getting more and more discouraging.
According to the National Association of Realtors, the median home price is now above $415,000, up more than 33% since 2020.
415. Let me see what that looks like for a monthly payment and down payment required for something like that. All right, so purchasing a home at $415,000, 3% down, 30-year term. This auto inputted a 6.364% interest rate. This is guesstimating your monthly payment at a little bit over $2,500 a month. Once you bake in your monthly property taxes, homeowners insurance, and other costs, you're at about $3,381.83 per month. So that's actually a pretty penny, right? You just graduated from college, you got an entry-level job somewhere, and you may not be married, right? You are in a scenario where you may be forced to rent, which is understandable, realistic, or even better, potentially moving back in with your parents, because that in turn allows for you to save a little bit more money for your impending down payment for a possible home purchase. The down payment of a $415,000 home is at $12,450. That's going to take some time to save up. So back to the example of moving home and saving your income as much and as aggressively as you can in order for you to prep for that down payment of that property. In order to stack up that down payment of $12,450, you're going to have to consider drastic things such as moving back home with mommy and daddy. But there are always other options like moving here to the city of Detroit, where you can purchase you a brick home, 3-bed, 1-2-bath house with a basement, with a driveway for less than $200,000. You don't believe me? Here's a home in Detroit's East English Village, $150,000. Now, it looks like you may be too late to purchase this property, but this is me trying to show you that there are other options in this United States of America, specifically here in Detroit, that will allow for you to purchase a property at an affordable price point. Beautiful brick home. You have your own driveway. The interior looks good. Beautiful kitchen. Great starter home or great home for a family. You got 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,300 square feet, forced air, a complete property, right? This is something that you could purchase here in the city of Detroit for less than $200,000. Your own basement. This one comes with a potential pool table, bathroom in the basement. You just can't beat it. Every so often somebody brings up, well, I wouldn't want to live in Detroit because that's probably the only house on the block, or it's so rough in Detroit that you're going to get robbed and you don't have any neighbors and the streets look like trash. Well, let's check this street out. Beautiful looking street. Trees align this block. I don't see any empty properties. All of the other properties are well maintained. And this is Detroit. I just want people to understand that Detroit is not what the national media makes it out to be. I even heard of what the current president said about the city of Detroit. And I think that's unfair for us to have that type of reputation in 2025 because you have these beautiful properties that align a majority of these neighborhoods here in this 140 square mile city. And back to the point of being able to purchase properties such as the one I'm showing you for less than $200,000. And so, whenever I hear the median average price of $415,000, it just doesn't even seem real to me because of the fact that we have such beautiful housing stock here in the city of Detroit at such an affordable price point. So come be our neighbor.
29-year-old Sam Hart and her husband purchased their first home this summer, 2 years after posting this.
Okay, so I'm just checking. We're all unable to buy a house right now, right?
Hart's video going viral on TikTok.
Hello.
With those views turning into dollars that she combined with a family loan to help make a down payment.
The house that we bought was much more expensive than what we thought we would end up buying.
While
So she needed a family loan to purchase her property. And I'm not calling her out negatively about that because I actually needed a family loan when I bought my first property. But I am pointing out that if I were to do things differently, I would have moved back home when I graduated from college and focused on saving up for my down payment. And the only reason I needed that loan is because I had leased an apartment once I graduated and came back home. And that in turn slowed my ability down when it comes to having the necessary down payment to purchase a property. And so if you're watching this and you're still in college and you're still trying to kind of strategize on how you're going to buy a house, for one, consider moving back home once you do graduate so you can stack up your funds. And two, come to Detroit.
On Truth Social this past week, President Trump floated a new 50-year mortgage.
50-year mortgage. Now, I did do a video about this 50-year mortgage idea. Not that big of a fan. However, if there is no requirement of having pristine credit score, maybe in that scenario it could make sense. So let's say your credit score is not in the 600s, right? And you're getting your credit together, you're paying off your debts, but yet your score is still low. Your debt to income ratio is low enough to be able to afford a mortgage. Maybe that makes sense in that scenario, but in most cases, a 50-year mortgage is something that I just can't agree with.
Up from the standard 30 as a way to help homebuyers.
All it means is you pay less per month, you pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit.
But critics argue it doesn't address rising home prices and could lead to more pain in the long run.
The thought of our best option being a 50-year mortgage and we're paying our mortgage off still in our 70s and our 80s, it's really discouraging.
Imagine being 75, 77, still paying off a mortgage that you got in your 30s.
Experts estimating a buyer purchasing a median home under a 50-year mortgage would likely spend around $200 less in monthly payments than if they had a 30-year loan. An option that Realtor.com's senior economist Joel Berner says comes with pros and cons.
That might make a difference for some people, but the cons are that when we make financing more flexible in this way, it's more buyers going after the same number of homes and prices will go up.
And loans would be more expensive. Compared to a 30-year mortgage, a 50-year would cost buyers almost $400,000 more.
$400,000 more over the course of the loan if you were to go with a 50-year mortgage as opposed to a 30-year mortgage. You're essentially purchasing your property again if you were to choose this 50-year option, which is just not a good idea.
After those 10 years, and on a 50-year mortgage, you'd only have about a 14% stake in your home. So wealth just grows a lot more slowly.
A grim reality for first-time homebuyers desperate for a solution to help keep the American dream alive.
At this point, when someone my age does it, it's like, wow, how did you do that? The idea of the American dream and being able to come and have your own place has been essentially nothing that I've seen in the past, couple years.
So on top of the fact that the median average age of a home purchaser is at 40 in 2025, which is just wow. We still have a number of other issues to be mindful of. One being the housing stock being so low in terms of the available housing stock in comparison to the number of home buyers that are in the market, which drives up the price point of these properties there are, simply put, not enough homes being built. And that is an epidemic that our country continues to deal with, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. But another challenge, your down payment. Figure out ways to cut your costs as aggressively as you can in order for you to put yourself in a position to buy you a home. Have the down payment available to purchase the property that is within your budget, which is also very important. A lot of people typically don't stick with the budget. When I'm talking to my realtor friends, one of the things they often see are potential buyers looking at homes that are outside of their budget. And that brings so many different challenges to a point where most good realtors will try their best at having you focus on what you've budgeted to begin with and to stay within that realm in order for you to not put yourself in financial ruins in the future. Also consider a different area. I do recommend the city of Detroit pretty often because the housing stock here is fantastic. You're going to have to probably do a little bit of work on whatever property you get. You're going to have to put some elbow grease into the property you buy, but the opportunity here is still abundant. But if not Detroit, look at other markets closer to where you're living within and think outside the box when it comes to, the community and the neighborhood that you're willing to live within in order to be able to afford the type of home that you're wanting to have for you and your family. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.